is because if you believe that human beings are essentially just balls of meat wandering around aimlessly in the universe, the kind of Spinoza's stone that thinks that it was moving of its own accord but actually was thrown.
I'm allowed to say whatever the f*** I want.
Did you damage his sign?
Okay, so sex and gender are two different concepts, but gender is tied to biology.
Ben Shapiro once tweeted, "This is pure idiocy. Not every symbol of the early republic is a white supremacist symbol unless you're a moron." Why, you ask? Well, he was backing up Chris Pratt, who without even trying, managed to rile up the woke crowd. Yep, without even trying. Did you know that some of the famous A-listers are secretly anti-woke like Chris? But how do they pull it off? And who are these stars quietly shutting down the woke warriors without breaking a sweat or throwing any direct shade? Let's dive in. Without further ado, let's jump in. Let's kick things off with Gina Carano, the MMA powerhouse who made her way into Hollywood and became a fan favorite on Star The Mandalorian. Acting seemed effortless for her, and people loved her right from the start. But then, things got complicated. One day, Gina shared a post on social media comparing the life of Republicans to the life of Jewish people during Nazi Germany. Her point? She highlighted how neighbors turned on Jews just because they were Jewish and argued it's not too different from hating someone based on political beliefs. Just a star sharing an opinion, right? But oh boy, the woke crowd exploded. They claimed her post downplayed the Holocaust, insisting it was offensive. Really? Humans compare things all the time and she wasn't even wrong. Hating someone over their views? It's been around forever. But hey, some people, aka the woke warriors, think they have the moral high ground.
Kicking these people out of their homes. They're taking you out and you're watching your, neighbors get, arrested. How did anybody let that happen?
So what did Hollywood do? Lucasfilm fired her instantly. Yet here's the thing. Pedro Pascal, also from The Mandalorian, posted something pretty similar. He compared Holocaust images to the treatment of migrants at the border. But he didn't even have the right facts. Guess what? No firing for Pedro. Lucasfilm called Gina's post absurd and unacceptable, but they were fine with Pedro's. Make it make sense.
Have you ever seen Swing Kids?
No.
Which is direct. Oh, you haven't seen Swing Kids?
No.
So it's directly what I was talking about. I actually had that in mind when I posted this. It's a bunch of German boys, and they would do swing as their rebellion, so they dance swing. And there was a group of them. Well, then the Nazis started to kind of like infiltrate them, and they had 2 of them signed up for it. And I don't want to ruin the ending or anything, but you saw how the brainwashing started happening with each different person, and it was really very. I'd watch it. That's what I had in my mind, was neighbors turning against neighbors.
And we saw that.
Yeah, and what had but the whole reason why that happened, and they kind of came after me so hard over that.
They were already on you.
They were on me for like...
What were they on you for? They were looking for a reason to hate you.
I think because I just wasn't...
But Gina didn't stay down. After her firing, she spoke out in interviews, calling out Disney and Lucasfilm. And soon enough, she found support with the Daily Wire, a conservative media company now helping her make her own films. Hollywood's become so woke that it'll cut someone loose over a single post. And Gina's story? Just one example of how fast Hollywood will turn if you don't follow their approved line. Next up, we've got Matthew McConaughey, the Oscar-winning actor and charming lead from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Now, he's not super blunt about being anti-woke, but he definitely hints at it. Like a lot. Matthew's spoken up about extreme political views on both the left and the right, including in Hollywood. Back in 2020, he stirred up the internet by calling out the illiberal left on a podcast.
Intent to go through and
The woke crowd, not happy to say the least. Some fans were backing him up, but others, let's just say they were losing their minds.
I do that, I want to put the words on it.
Fast forward to 2022, and Matthew's making headlines again with a speech at the White House. He's all about bringing back good old American values, making things feel normal again, and standing up for everyday people. And honestly, he's just like the tough, no-nonsense characters he plays on screen. He says what he wants and doesn't back down. Whether he's speaking out about the woke culture or hinting at the need for some good old-fashioned common sense, Matthew's the kind of guy who'll keep talking because, well, he just doesn't care if he ruffles some feathers. Now, if you thought we were done, just wait until we get to the legend himself, Clint Eastwood. This Hollywood icon has spent over 6 decades as an actor, director, and yes, a proud Republican. And he doesn't just stand behind the camera. He's influenced Hollywood in ways that drive the woke crowd up the wall.
Now, insensitive in the midst of all the trouble we were supposedly having during the Trump years. Here's how Chris Pratt responded to that absurdity.
I want to say thank you to the people in my comments who've taken the brave step to let me know how insensitive it is for me to continue with What's My Snack. Not today, not now. We don't need humor. What we need.
Naturally, being a conservative in Hollywood's sea of left-leaning people has landed Clint in some awkward situations, but he's never let it slow him down. Long before woke even became a thing, Clint was calling out what he didn't like in society. He's been talking about cultural issues without even using the word woke. And let's just say he had this way to deal with these stuff way before it was cool. Remember back in 2012 at the Republican National Convention? Clint addressed an empty chair, symbolizing President Obama.
So I've got Mr. Obama sitting here. And I just was going to ask him a couple questions. But, I remember 3.5 years ago when Mr. Obama won the election. And though I wasn't a big supporter, I was watching that night when he was having that thing and they were talking about hope and change.
Some people criticized him heavily, but anti-woke folks, they cheered him on. But Clint didn't just stop with speeches. He's woven his views right into his films, with stories that tackle topics Hollywood usually avoids. Through his movies, he subtly challenges the woke crowd, bringing up themes that make them squirm, but without ever being explicit. And guess what? They can't do anything about it. Clint's found a way to keep expressing his views while making Hollywood sweat. And let's not forget Clint's 2014 film American Sniper. Now, this one had people talking, and not always in a good way. Some critics claimed it glorified war and had anti-Muslim sentiments. Really, it's just a movie. Movies are there for stories, for lessons, and yeah, for entertainment. But apparently, some people just love pulling out all kinds of criticisms like weapons whenever they get the chance. Despite the backlash, though, American Sniper was a massive hit. It pulled in a whopping $547.4 million worldwide, and even snagged 6 Academy Award nominations. So while some critics had a lot to say, audiences were clearly on Clint's side, making it a box office smash. Oh, you thought that was it, huh? Wait until you see Bryan Cranston, the iconic actor who took on Walter White in Breaking Bad. But in real life, Bryan's not here to cause drama. Instead, he's got some thoughts about where society's headed.
The president. And let me ask you a question. When you look at this guy's hat, Make America Great Again,
Bryan's voiced his concerns about how people are changing, and he's not exactly thrilled with what he sees. He's not out here labeling anyone woke or trying to start a movement. He's just a regular guy, honestly worried about what's happening to basic human values. It's like people have just forgotten kindness and empathy, simple things that used to be a given. And seriously, where's forgiveness these days? Why does everyone get offended over every little thing? We're talking about full-blown arguments over the tiniest issues. It's as if people can't agree to disagree anymore, and even the smallest misunderstanding can turn into a massive problem. Bryan's not here for it, and he's wondering why we can't just let some things go.
I mean, yes. Are there factions that are on both extremes? Of course. To say you're a liberal person, as I would consider myself, I think common sense is the law of the land. It's what should be. I think we are in a much better place than we've ever been before, as far as civil rights, as far as acceptance, and it's
all this constant outrage is actually slowing down any real progress. People are so scared of being attacked or canceled that they're holding back on doing anything bold or positive. Society's so stuck in this loop of offense and backlash that no one wants to take a risk or speak up. It's like we're all trapped in this weird cycle that's keeping us from moving forward. Bryan Cranston may not be shouting anti-woke slogans, but he's got a point about where we're headed. He's asking us to pause and remember a bit of that old-school humanity before we lose it for good. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the Chris Pratt saga. Yeah, that's right, the ultimate Avenger, Star-Lord. So what did Chris do to get the woke crowd all riled up? Did he make some outrageous statement? Did he go on a wild Twitter rant? No, he literally didn't do anything. Back in 2020, when everyone probably had bigger issues to focus on, People online somehow got fired up over Chris Pratt. Why? Because they thought he was politically conservative and might have supported Donald Trump. Yes, just the thought of him having certain political beliefs was enough to spark a frenzy. Apparently, voting isn't so free anymore if you're a Hollywood star. Free speech? Yeah, maybe not. So where did this all even begin? Well, it wasn't because Chris said, "I support XYZ." Nope, he was silent about it. But then he wore this t-shirt with a rattlesnake and the words, "Don't tread on me," a design inspired by the Gadsden flag, which dates back to the American Revolution. Suddenly, certain media outlets tried to label it as a sign of white supremacy. Over a t-shirt. I mean, who's out here dissecting everyone's t-shirts these days? It's just fabric with a design, people. Then Ben Shapiro, of all people, jumped in to defend Chris, calling the outrage ridiculous. And it was, honestly. But it didn't stop there. Things went even crazier when Chris posted a joke promoting his movie Onward. In the post, he joked about voting being important, then hilariously suggested that people should vote for his movie at the People's Choice Awards or else they'd die. He even wrote, "No hyperbole." It was a joke, but the internet took it and ran with it, calling it insensitive and tone-deaf. And then came the tipping point. Chris didn't join a virtual fundraiser for Joe Biden that a bunch of his Marvel co-stars attended. Suddenly he was labeled as the worst Chris in Hollywood. Like, seriously, can the guy just live his life? The dude was at home minding his business, not throwing shade, not saying a word about politics, and somehow he still ended up as public enemy #1 in Hollywood Twitter's eyes. But how did Chris respond to all of this? With complete silence. He didn't defend himself, didn't clap back, just left it all alone. And honestly, that probably frustrated the critics even more. The best way to win an argument, after all, is to stay silent and let the noise die down. And speaking of Avengers, Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr., swooped in to defend his Marvel buddy. RDJ posted on Instagram saying, "What a world. The signless are casting stones at my hash brother Chris Pratt. A real hash Christian who lives by hash principle has never demonstrated anything but hash positivity and hash gratitude." He ended. That's what he said. It's almost baffling. These days, even staying silent isn't enough. No matter what you do, these woke are just ready to find fault. You can't speak up, you can't stay quiet, and somehow, it's never enough. Is this the world we live in now? What happened to just letting people be? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks for watching.